Alright, what is up everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Pelicans, man. Things are going really wrong over there. Their worst case scenario is becoming a reality. We're going to talk all about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Link to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So today we're talking about the New Orleans Pelicans because things are just very bad over there right now. Things are not going good. They are 0-7. They're one of two winless teams. Oh, sorry, 0-6. They're one of two winless teams still playing in the league, still looking for their first W. And their worst case scenario right now is becoming reality, where though there was a world where things could go very wrong this season, and it's happening right in front of our eyes. You go back to before this season started and this entire off season and everything, and if you watch the channel, you heard me talk about the league and different teams and my predictions for how I think every team's gonna go. I was not a big believer in this Pelican team. I came in the season very vocal about, like, I don't like this team. I don't like the way it's put together. I like individual players on this team, but I just don't like the fit altogether. I don't trust this team. They've always have injury problems. Things just I don't like the vibes. I made a video before the season talking about three teams that are in the worst position in the league, and the Pelicans were one of those teams I talked about extensively. I ranked them 14th in the Western Conference in my Western Conference predictions. One of my I did a video of 10 bold predictions. One prediction I had was the Pelicans are going to sell this year and Zion will be traded in the offseason. Like, I really was just genuinely did not like anything about this Pelican team coming into this season, And there's some things you could talk yourself into. Okay, they have Zion is in the best shape of his career. Jordan Poole, Trey Murphy coming in now as a full-time starter. You have Herb Jones back. Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen are solid rookies. You have some good roster on this team, and it's like, okay, you could talk yourself into, Ease Missy came off a great rookie year. Kevon Looney's a solid big man. Like, you could talk yourself into this being a respectable team. I think there is a world where I can acknowledge, like, okay, there is a chance that they maybe become respectable. Still probably not a guaranteed playoff team or anything, but, they could still be somewhat okay. Some people could believe that. I don't think they'll be wrong in doing that. And so far, as games have gone on and the season's gone on, we're about in week, 3 of the season, and all hope has been lost in New Orleans. They're 0-6. They genuinely just suck right now, and this is like the worst case scenario for them. Talk about this team on court first and everything going on. I mean, the crazy thing is they started off the year not horrible. The first two games of the season, they lost to the Grizzlies and lost to the Spurs, but both really close games. Against the Grizzlies in their opener, they actually had control of the game for like 2.5 quarters. They had a rough second half. Ja Morant had an amazing fourth quarter, and they just they couldn't get things to go on the offensive end late in the game. They couldn't stop Ja Morant, and they ended up losing. And it's like, dang, it was a fun game, but we lost. Okay. Second game of the year, they play against the Spurs, against Wemby, coming off his insane opener against the Mavericks. They take him to overtime. Wemby fouls out, and it's like, oh, shoot, there might be a chance. They turn the ball over late, have some bad possessions, can't guard the interior because they didn't have a big man, and they lose that game. And it's like, dang, okay, we're 0-2, but 2 close losses against decently respectable teams. Okay, we can do it. Since last week, that was the first week of the year. Last week, all of that thrown out the window. I mean, the last 3 of their last 4 losses have just been embarrassing. Last week, Monday, they played against the Celtics, who are also 0-3. They don't have a win, trying to fight for something. They get destroyed by 32. Without Zion, Zion doesn't play in that game. They lose by 32 points. And it just looks horrible. They put up 90 points on the 0-3 Celtics. And it's like, all right, we come back the next game Wednesday. Zion's back. Okay, here we go. Against the Nuggets, they have a decently respectable first half. They started off slow, but then they got going. They made it a game, and it's like, okay, can the Pelicans actually do it? They start the third quarter. They gave up a 24-0 run. They gave up 24 unanswered points to the Nuggets to start the third quarter. Overall, went on a 29-2 run and lost by 34. They put up 88 points as a team in the game. 188 points. 0-4. Halloween, they play against the Clippers. NCAA tournament. They have their best game of the year offensively. They shoot the ball really well. Jordan Poole gives you 30. Trey Murphy finally finds a shot. It's like, oh, sure, we're actually going to beat the Clippers? Kawhi says no. And that's a tough loss. You know, Kawhi was Kawhi. That was his best game of the year. He gave you, 34 points, 6 steals. He was incredible. Hits the game winner. Okay. Yesterday, they play against the Thunder. Early game against the Thunder. And they just get absolutely beaten up. They lose by 31. They gave 137 points. It was not, I'll be honest, I didn't watch this game. Football was on. I rather watched Joe Flacco and Caleb Williams go band for band in that crazy game than watch the Pelicans play the Thunder. I didn't watch a second of this game live. I went back and watched some of the highlights. Barely, honestly. Just, I have no intent to watching this team. When the Pelicans are on the schedule, that's a game that I'm like, all right, you know what? We'll catch the highlights later. I don't care about watching this team at all. And now they're quickly 0-6. They're bad. Looking at some of the advanced numbers right now as I'm recording this video. 27th rated offense, 29th rated defense, 30th in net rating. They have a net rating of a negative 17.4. That's more than anybody. The Brooklyn Nets don't have a net rating that bad. Last week specifically, from the Boston game to the OKC game yesterday, their net rating in that span was a negative 25.3. Negative 25.3. They lost 3 of those 4 games. They lost by over 30. It's only negative 25.3 because they hung in with the Clippers and Kawhi hit the shot. If they couldn't hang in with the Clippers, their net rating was going to be negative 30 something. It was really bad. Look at their offensive numbers. Their offense is just not good. They average the least amount of points per game by a team. They're 30th in points per game. They only average 107 points a game, which in today's NBA, 107 is basically like 90. You know, like teams get to 100 doing nothing. 107 points. Field goal percentage, they're 29th in field goal percentage. They only shoot 42% from the field. I think the Pacers are the only team that shoot worse than them. The 3-point shooting, 22nd in 3-pointers made, 19th in 3-point attempts, 19th in 3-point percentage. They shoot 34% from 3. So 3-point shooting, they're below average. They're not great. And honestly, these numbers improved because I looked at these numbers a couple of days ago and they were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. But because they hit a couple shots against the Clippers, their rating goes up. Free throws, they actually get to the free throw line. They're 10th in free throws made, they're 8th in free throw attempts, but they're 26th in free throw percentage. So even the things they're doing good at, getting to the free throw line, they're a bad free throw shooting team. They're a bad rebounding team. 29th in defensive rebounds. They're actually good offensive rebound-wise, but they cannot grab defensive rebounds. And overall, they're 25th in rebounds. So they're a bottom 5 rebounding team. And they're one of the worst defensive rebounding teams. They're 30th in assists. They only average 22 assists per game. Effective field goal percentage, 29th. They're shooting 48% effective field goal percentage. Their true shooting percentage, 29th. They shoot 53% from the field as a team. Only the Pacers, I think, have worse shooting splits than them. They're also 25th in pace, so they're not even running it either. They have a bad offense that can't shoot the ball, that can't rebound, that can't pass, and they also are slow. This is like the worst thing ever to have, you know? They're also the 22nd in fast break points. They're 20th in points in the paint. Overall, they have a negative 18.2 plus minus as a team. When they go out there on the court as a team, they're a negative 18. They are bad offensively. And it's like, okay, what about the defense? Doesn't get much better. They can't hold their hat on that end either. They're 28th in opponent points per game. They're giving up almost 126 points per game. So you're scoring 107, and you're giving up 126. So that's just horrible. They're 29th in opponent field goals made. They're actually 17th in opponent field goal attempts. So they're not even giving up a crazy amount of shots to other teams. Teams are just making shots on them. Teams are shooting 51% from the field on them, which is 29th. 3-pointers, they're 25th in opponent 3-pointers made. They're 29th in opponent 3-point attempts. They're giving up almost 44 3-point attempts per game. They're not guarding the 3-point line. And they're actually getting a little bit lucky there because teams are only shooting 34%, which is 9th in the league. So they're giving up the second most amount of 3-pointers, but teams aren't shooting the ball super well against them, which is, they're lucky. You know, if teams were shooting about average against them, they'd probably be losing by 40. They can't rebound. Again, they're 27th in opponent defensive rebounds, 26th in opponent rebounds. So yeah, they're bottom 5 in getting rebounds, and they're bottom 5 in giving up rebounds. 26th in opponent assists, 30th in opponent teams are blocking them more than anybody. Teams are averaging almost 8 blocks per game against them, and they did have a Wemby game, so that had 9 blocks. So maybe give them a little bit of credit there, or a little bit of leeway there. But yeah, it's all their numbers are bad. Like horrible offense, horrible defense. You look at some of the players that they're playing. I mean, Zion hasn't been bad this year. The numbers don't look anything super eye-popping, but Zion hasn't been horrible. He's shown some ability, averaging 22, 6 and 4, 2 steals. He's getting to the free throw line when anybody's taking almost 11 and a half free throws per game, but he's only shooting 66%. Big reason for why they're not a good free throw shooting team. But Zion hasn't been horrible. He's only missed one game. It's been all right, but then and then the other bright spot they have is Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears has been really good this year. 13, almost 4 assists, 1.5 steals, shooting 46% from the field. I love his ability to get to the rim. He's very smooth in getting to the basket. He scores a lot around the rim. He loves attacking downhill. His passing has gotten better. He's been locked in defensively. He's been doing his thing. The only thing he doesn't have is a 3-point shot right now, which nobody on this team has. But I mean, and he's starting now. He's taken Jordan Poole's minutes. And honestly, I don't mind that. After 2 games, I was like, I want to see more Jeremiah Fears. I want to see less Jordan Poole. And that's happening right now. So at least you have that going for you. But besides that, I mean, Jordan Poole, their big offseason acquisition. It was an interesting trade in the moment, getting rid of CJ for Jordan Poole, a guy that has a lot of money on his deal, on his contract still. A guy that is, I guess, not really a point guard, yet they're still trying to make him a point guard. They're still trying to make him a starter. And so far, I mean, he's averaging 18. He's shooting 37% from the field. He's shooting 35% from three. And that's kind of inflated a little bit because he had a 30-point game against the Clippers. And he's already lost his starting job. And we just started November. And he's already lost his starting spot. He's just not a point guard. He's not. And honestly, at this point, I don't think he's a starter in this league anymore. I think he's a very valuable six-man. I think that's what his role is. I mean, he had a good year last year in Washington, but also it's Washington and there's nobody there to do anything, and he has to get adjusted to a new role. He's not a point guard. He's not. He's just not a guy that's looking to pass the ball. He's not a guy that's looking to initiate the offense. He's a guy that's looking to go get a bucket, which is, there's a role for him in this league for that. It's coming off the bench as a six-man and being a bucket getter, which is what he did against the Clippers. And he looked a lot better at that point. But yeah, I don't like Jordan Poole. I don't know if he's a starting point guard in this league anymore. I don't know if he's a starter in this league anymore. It's been bad. Trey Murphy, who now is a starter, high expectations a little bit. Coming off a year where he averaged 21 points per game. He was amazing last year in the time he played. Right now, he's shooting 39% from the field and 35% from three. He's averaging 14 points per game. Jeremiah Fears is averaging only one less point than him. I just don't know if that's good. That's not good. He's a guy, he should be the second best player on the team. He should be a guy that could go for 20 to 25 points and hitting 5, 6 threes. I mean, the last 2 games he's starting to hit the shots. Before, he was shooting I think 21% from three for the first couple games of the year. It just hasn't looked great for him. He hasn't been able to find a shot. He's only taking 13 shots per game. He just hasn't. Has not been able to find a rhythm offensively. It's kind of disappointing. Look at some other guys. Herb Jones shooting 39% from the field. He is shooting 46% from three though. He's finding a rhythm there. Saddiq Bey is not shooting the ball super well right now. I mean, he's had good moments, but yeah. The 3-point shooting on this team. There's only 2 players shooting 35% or better from three on this team. And that's Jordan Poole and Herb Jones. Look at all the other teams, all the other players. Trey Murphy, 35% from three. Barely. Not even. 34.9. Jeremiah Fears, 31%. Saddiq Bey, 33%. Jordan Hawkins is shooting 23% from three. Jose Alvarado shooting 30% from three. Like, it's been bad. Look at some other guys that Yves Missy's has some injury problems. He hasn't really made as much of an impact as he did as a rookie. DeAndre Jordan had to start a game. DeAndre Jordan wasn't on a roster. And he just got picked up because he has so many injuries and they had to start him. 37-year-old DeAndre Jordan just started an NBA game. That just shouldn't happen. DeAndre Jordan will tell you himself he shouldn't be starting games at this point. Kevon Looney just came back from injury. That's okay. That's good, I guess. Jose Alvarado can't hit a shot to save his life right now. He's shooting 29% from the field and 30% from three and 50% from the line. He hasn't been able to impact the game as much as he usually does. Jordan Hawkins, at this point, he just 3 years in, he hasn't been able to do anything. He's shooting 23% from three when his role is to go out there and be a bucket shooter. His role is to go out there and shoot the ball, and he's not shooting the ball. And unfortunately, UConn guy, I love him. Shout out to my UConn boy, Jordan Hawkins. But it's been 3 years. He hasn't been able to crack a rotational spot consistently. That pick looks very bad right now. Derek Queen, who is going to be a big topic for this entire year, for the entire next couple years of the Pelicans, Derek Queen is averaging 7 points, 4 rebounds, and he's not playing. This is not this is not saying Derek Queen is bad. He's only played 6 games in the NBA. I'm not putting any labels on Derek Queen yet. This is not a Derek Queen thing. This is the Pelicans not playing Derek Queen. He didn't get into the game yesterday till they were down 30 already. Even though he was a lottery pick that you unintentionally invested everything into. And he can't play. I don't know what that's about. This team is just not good at all. They don't do many things right. They're not even a fun watch anymore. At least the first 2 games they were losing, but they were in close games. You know, and at least the Clipper game, they were kind of hitting shots. Besides that, they just have been unwatchable. They're the only game on in the NBA, and I chose not to watch that game, to watch a different sport. Because this team sucks. They're not good. And the reason why this is the worst case scenario is you probably know this already, because if you follow the NBA, you know this already. If you don't, here comes a big shocker to you. They don't have their own first round pick this year. They don't. They're 0-6. They do not have a first round pick for themselves this year. You know why? Because they traded it on draft night to acquire Derek Queen in a trade with the Hawks. They basically gave up this year for Derek Queen. Derek Queen is a good play, could be very good, but that just looks like a bad trade. And they brought in Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars is the new GM of this team. He just came in this offseason after not being in the NBA for like 10 years, GMing a team. And the last time he GM'd a team was not good. They brought him in because they thought he was the savior of this team. And even in the moment, a lot of people were like, why? You know, but it's like, yeah, give him a chance to see what he can do. It's been a couple months, and already he has just done a terrible job. I mean, making that trading an unprotected, by the way, unprotected, not even a top 3 protected, top 5, unprotected, no protections on the pick. No matter what happens, the Pelicans will not be able to own their own first round pick this year. It's going to Atlanta. Who Atlanta right now, Trae Young is out for a month. Who knows what happens there? But honestly, they don't even care. Because even if we do miss out and we're not as good as we expected to be, hey, we're going to get a top 3 pick this year because the Pelicans are garbage. Because Joe Dumars, for some reason, said, F it. Here, take this pick. We don't need it. Derek Queen, come on. Just insane. Insane. They're not even trying to tank. It's a bad, even when I made my bold prediction video, I talked about one of my bold predictions is this is the year the Pelicans are going to finally sell everything and go for a rebuild. I said in that video, it would be dumb to do that because you don't not own your own first round pick. It would be dumb to tank. It would be stupid. And the crazy thing is, they're not trying to. They're just bad. They're unintentionally 0-6. The Nets at least are trying to lose. The Nets are trying to get a pick. You know? They're not. They're just bad. And to make things even worse, how can it get even worse? I'll tell you how it gets worse. Because of a certain trade, I don't fully remember the trade. I probably should have looked it up before I started this video, but I just went off kind of the cuff. Before this season, flashback to the NBA Finals. The Pacers and Thunder are playing the NBA Finals. The New Orleans Pelicans, for some reason, actually owned the Indiana Pacers pick for this year. The 2026 draft, Indiana Pacers first round pick. The Pelicans had that pick in their possession. And a couple days before Game 7 in the NBA Finals, the Pacers made a trade with the Pelicans to acquire that pick back. The Pelicans gave the Pacers back their first round pick in exchange for the 23rd pick in this upcoming draft, which they traded in that Derek Queen trade to the Hawks, the pick that turned into Ace Newell right now, and the rights to Mojave King, who right now is playing in the NBL in Australia. Shout out to Mojave King. But now, a couple months back in June, the Pelicans not only had their own pick, but also had the Pacers' first round pick, which the Pacers right now are at 1-5. And it's looking like the Pacers are going to be taken pretty soon because everybody on their team is injured. They had a chance in June. If you would have told them in June that you would be 0-6, you and the Pacers would have a combined 1-11 record, and you own both of their own first round picks, you had a chance to potentially have 2 top 5 picks coming in this year. You would have been like, oh my God, we're in the dream scenario. And then we have a young rookie in Jeremiah Fears. We have guys like Zion and Trey Murphy and Herb Jones that could, have some value on the market because teams would love to have a Herb Jones. Teams would love having Trey Murphy. Zion, maybe a young team like the Pistons or Hornets or whatever would take a chance bringing him in as a second fiddle. And now you have a duo there and they would give up something. And now, we're going to have 2 top 5 picks with Jeremiah Fears and some picks coming in. And, this rebuild's looking nice. No, No, because you traded your own first round pick. You traded away the Pacers back their own first round pick, which looks like genius work by the Pacers GM and front office because now, they could comfortably go in and tank with no regards for anything. The Pelicans, now you're 0-6. You're gonna have to trade some of these guys. You don't have your own first round. You don't have a first round pick this year. You don't have your own first round pick, and you don't have a first round pick that also was going to be a top 5 pick because you traded back for nothing, basically. This is the worst spot in the NBA. This is the worst position in the NBA. There's no other team that is in a worse position right now than what the New Orleans Pelicans are in. You don't have a pick. You're 0-6. In a draft that looks like there's going to have some heavy hitters and AJ DeBonsa, Cam Boozer, and Darren Peterson, you might give one of them to the Hawks. The Hawks might walk out of this draft with Cam Boozer because Joe Dumars decided we don't care about first round picks around here, apparently, even though we just won 20 something games last year. And we know the injury history of this team, and we're in the Western Conference where there's 12 teams right now competing for a playoff spot. It's bad. You have no first round pick. You don't really have a future. I mean, Jeremiah Fears, I guess, is your future. Derek Queen better be your future. And Jeremiah Fears is your future because after this, I mean, how do you keep around a lot of these guys, man? Like Zion at this point, I think it's run its course. I think this era of the Zion Pelicans and whatever has run its course. It's over. Zion should be out the door. Trey Murphy should be out the door. Herb Jones should finally be on a playoff team. Sadiq Bey out the door. Jordan Poole, find a way to get him out the door. Like we gotta blow Jose Alvarado out the door. We gotta blow this up. They gotta blow this up, and they're gonna have to bite the bullet. They're gonna have to bite the bullet at this point. I mean, I don't see how this gets better. I don't see how anything comes out of this looking good. They just have to. The only way out of this is you're gonna have to suck it up, bite the bullet, say we messed up, and unfortunately be a dumpster fire for the next year or two until you get your old pick back, and hopefully, you can find a good. Hopefully, you end up getting a top 3 or top 5 pick eventually at some point down the road. But yeah, man, this is bad, man. This is really bad. Pelicans fans, if you're a Pelican fan watching or anywhere, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. You don't deserve this. You don't. The Saints also suck. I was gonna say at least you have the Saints. The Saints also are really bad. You don't have a baseball team. LSU. Hopefully he's good somewhere. This is really bad, man. This is horrible. This is the worst. This is the worst position in the NBA to be in. This is the worst position to be in the NBA. This is worse than the Kings. I don't know how, but it's worse. Sacramento at least has players that can win games. Pelicans don't have that. They don't have anything. It's just, it's bad. I'm sorry, Pelicans fans. I don't know how this gets any better. We're going to be on the lookout, not watching games, but look out on the trade market. They could be a big seller at the trade deadline. Again, Herb Jones. If I'm a playoff team, I would die for Herb Jones. He's a perfect positional playoff player. Trey Murphy, that could be a great get for somebody out there. Maybe change scenery. He can finally find his jump shot again. Zion, I don't think he gets traded at the deadline. I think that's too big of a move a little bit to do at the deadline. But offseason, a team that wants to make another step forward, maybe like a Detroit, a team that kind of, you could tell is like, all right, we're ready. We need one more guy. Why not go get Zion in the best shape of his career? But yeah, man, it's really tough over there in New Orleans, the worst position in the NBA. And we're gonna keep track and see who they trade. What's next? Willie Green's probably getting fired pretty soon. Unfortunately, even though I don't mind Willie Green as a coach, I think he's a solid coach. He'll probably get another chance on an assistant coaching staff somewhere very soon. But yeah, man, it's bad over there in New Orleans. Yeah, it's gonna be today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.